Welcome to Cooking 100-Year-Old Recipes. In this video, I'm making a rye bread recipe from 1897, this book. I also want to look at what the ovens and stoves look like in the 1890s and at what point did electric cookers come to be commonplace in the American kitchen. So let's go into the kitchen and get baking. I do make a loaf of something once a week, and despite rye bread being my favorite, I don't know that I've ever made it at home. I do buy the rye flour. You've seen this? Pumpernickel is whole rye flour, and I use this to feed my sourdough starter because it seems to like that the best. But I haven't made rye bread, and I don't know why I feel a little, uneasy about everything in the book. Has been good. Bread is one of the oldest foods humans have been making and eating, and I don't know why a recipe from 1897 would be any worse or better than what we make now, but we're going to find out. Alright, so let's see. It starts off, the recipe does not add the rye meal or the rye flour until after the first rising, which is interesting to me. Alright, so in my bowl I have 2 tablespoons of butter, and I'm going to add 1 cup of scalded milk. And scalding changes the protein structure, so when a recipe says to use scalded milk, use scalded milk. And then a cup of boiling water that I've boiled in my kettle. I have a gooseneck kettle. I use a Chemex for my coffee. This is nice for that pour over method. Let's see how this looks. And the next step, add sugar and salt. That is brown sugar, so I'm sure for color and flavor. How much salt do we need? 1.5 teaspoons. The recipe uses a cake of yeast, and I'm going to use granulated. I buy it in the size instead of packets because I bake so often. Check the temperature. Still feels a little bit warm. I don't want it to be over, I would say about 110. 113. The recipe uses. Alright, this is cool enough now, and I'm going to weigh my flour just because that's what I always do. So it's 3 cups, and that's about 375 grams. 375. I'll put my yeast in there. Here the scale. And I'm using all-purpose because it doesn't say otherwise. And then It says beat thoroughly, cover and let rise until light. Here you can see some of the bits of flour are still breaking open, and you want to make sure to get all of them open so that the dough can hydrate properly. Just going to scrape down the bowl. This is very wet. This is kind of almost like a starter batter before the rye is introduced. Make sure that yeast is proofing. See that nice color from the brown sugar? I've had this going for about 6 minutes to get all of those flour lumps broken up so that they hydrate. And judging from how loose this mixture is right now, I think this will make 2 loaves because it's going to need quite a bit of the rye flour to get it to be stiff. Get these bits off. So I'm going to cover it up, and it's pretty cold in here today. It's January. It's below freezing outside, even though I live in a warm climate. And put it next to, I have a little space heater in one of the rooms, so I'm going to put this next to that until it gets puffy. And then I'll be back for the next step. It's been about an hour and 15 minutes. This is very puffy, it's doubled. So now I'm going to start adding in the rye flour. It's going to need quite a bit to get it. Let's see, she describes it as stiff enough to knead. A few scrapes. See how it looks. Needs a little bit more. It's about half a cup. It's starting to come away from the bowl, which tells me it's getting stiff enough. Yep, that seems good. So I'm going to let the mixer knead for give it about 5 minutes. Really work up that gluten some more. Rye does not have a lot of gluten in it, and I did a lot of mixing with the all-purpose flour at the beginning. I'm going to give it another mix. It's been about 5 minutes. Looks nice and smooth. And it's going to rise again. It's been about an hour, and this has risen quite a bit, more than I would expect for something with so much rye in it. And I'm going to put out my almost 100-year-old pastry towel. I have some newer ones, but those of you that watched my channel before, you know that I love a pastry towel for dealing with any kind of dough. So I'm going to shape this into 2 loaves. This looks like a 2-loaf thing. Yeah, look at all of that rise. So it's not going to be a dense loaf. So I'm going to have wet fingers just in case this wants to be sticky. I'll flour my towel just a little bit. I'm not kneading, this is just shaping that's going on now. Pull up my sleeves. These have been rising for over an hour and a half, just because I knew it was going to take a while to get the height that I wanted, but I don't want to go too much longer. You can see in here, that's a nice thing about using glass, what's going on. It's still kind of loose and soft, so it should make a nice tender loaf. Just be very careful, I don't want to deflate it. Now it's not crowning over, and it might rise a little bit more in the oven. I don't have great expectations for that, but we'll see. I think it'll still be a tasty loaf. So I'm going to bake these. The book doesn't say, but with my baking experience of bread, a sandwich type of bread goes for about half an hour, 35 minutes at 350 degrees. And I will check it with a thermometer. It should be between 190, 195, and it'll be done. Always temp your bread, just like you would cake, chicken, all of that. Temperature, there's a good temperature for everything. But for sandwich bread, 190, 195 is perfect. The kitchens in the 1890s had cast iron cookers. There were hot spots on the top to cook in pots and 3 sections of the oven with a low heat, a moderate heat, and a high heat temperature. These units were powered by coal, and it was not until the 1920s that electric ovens became a mainstay in American kitchens. I think about the weight of these cast iron cookers. Like, they're enormous. I think just trying to lift 2 iron frying pans, which you've seen me use in some of these videos that I've done in the past, even those are heavy, let alone a whole piece of furniture. I couldn't find out how they were being transported around. I know, probably things were being trucked, but to actually move it into a home and in a very specific position, holy cow. I'm going to slice in and see how the texture looks inside. It's very soft, moist. Nice crumb. Give it a taste. It definitely smells like rye bread. The tiniest slight bit of sweetness. Nice flavor. Yeah, I like it. It's very good. I'm going to make some toast with it in the morning. Rye toast is so delicious to me. Maybe some tuna sandwiches, because I'm just that person that loves tuna on rye. It's a great combination. Very good. Hope to see you again, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video.